All right, so today we have Malini Dutta with us. Is that how you say it?
Yeah,
Okay, Dutta.
yeah.
So I kind of just wanted to start off by asking, like, why football? How'd you get into that?
Yeah, so I used to play soccer since I was little, but it ended up, I wanted to be more physical, so I stopped, playing soccer and um ninth grade, there was like football going around, we had games after school, everyone was talking about the football games. I thought, why can I not play football? That sounds fun, something that I can do.
Right, right. So, like, was it like a welcoming environment to kind of get into football at Deep Run specifically?
Yeah, I mean, I knew all the guys from like my classes and from like even elementary school, I knew them. So it was pretty fun.
That's cool. That's cool. And I see like a bunch of like posts and stuff. Like, you going to like college camps. Is it like you're probably the only girl there, right?
Yeah.
What's it like?
I mean, they're all like, it was pretty crazy to be honest. Like I had people's parents taking pictures with me.
Really?
I was just like, oh gosh. Because I was just there to compete just like every other kid. So
Right,
it was pretty
right.
crazy.
I mean, it's that's a big thing because you're kind of taking a step for everybody. I would say in this situation because only guys you only really hear guys playing football. So that's cool. What position do you play?
I play fullback and defensive end.
And I'm sorry, I don't really know too much about football, but what do you do?
So, defensive end, it's you're against the other linemen who are protecting the quarterback, and you're trying to get to the quarterback and stop the play.
Mhm.
Fullback is on the offensive side of the game, and you're helping the running back who has the ball and is trying to score a touchdown by blocking people in their way.
Oh, gotcha, gotcha. Okay, so do you have any like idols that you kind of like play after? Like you like position your game for that, something like that.
I mean, like people who play in the
The-
NFL.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, I'm an Eagles fan, so Jason Kelsey, he's
Mhm.
the center. I watch a lot of the Eagles games, so
That's we're okay. So like, this is my thing. So honestly, like I'm pretty big on sports too. Like, in middle school, I was like low key. If there wasn't a basketball team, like I would have done football. But like going into high school, I get a Maggie Walker, so we don't
mhm,
even have a football team. But
yeah.
Um, I was like, a lot of my friends and I were like, "Yo, you know what? Let's just do it." Because like I went to Moody, and Moody was terrible at football. So we were like, "You know what? Let's just go play." But like a big thing that I saw a lot of the people facing was that their parents didn't want them to, and it was kind of like the perspective of obviously like a girl playing football, like that's not safe. What are other people gonna think? Like that was a lot of the concern. So how is it for you getting into football? Were your parents pretty supportive?
I mean, I just had a random thought during the school day, so I went to practice by myself after school.
Oh, good.
And so I didn't tell my parents, so I just came home and asked them for a physical, and they were just like, and I was like, it's for football, and they're like, okay. So I'm thankful that, they're very supportive of everything that I do.
Right, right. And I know you start on the team. That's crazy to me. Like, whoa. Do you ever like is it like overly competitive being a girl? Like I want to say like cuz obviously like girls and guys sports are differentiated based on like I would like most cases physical ability.
Mhm.
So like do you ever feel like oh my God, like that's so scary, like this big like 6'3" linebacker or like guys like right in front of me like what am I supposed to do?
I mean, I have worked on like my body and myself throughout the off season, so I'm just as like scared as the my teammate next to me who maybe hasn't done all that stuff, but it's something that I have to do just to like compete at the same level, because even if one of my teammates hasn't done that stuff, he still like has the physical ability to be able to compete against him, so I have to do some extra stuff.
Right, right. And like obviously like your teammates are a big part of a team sport like football and stuff. So was it easy getting it? Like obviously you knew the guys like playing or during the school day and stuff, but like what was it like stepping onto the football field with them? Like, was it accepting? Like, because I know a lot of times, like, if you're a girl and you show out a guy, like, it's a lot of like, backlash for it. Like, you're like, no way, I just got beat by a girl. Like, but I feel like at Deep Run, what's the environment like?
I mean, I could see like how when I first started, they'd be like, a little skeptical, but I know they've seen how hard I've worked over like since ninth grade, how hard I've worked and everything that I've done. And I think that, they have a lot of more trust in me just because how, I'm really into football and the game itself.
Right. That's a big thing, trust, and
Mhm.
especially gaining that. So it's good that you started early, like ninth grade. Um,
Yeah.
did you ever play for short pump?
No, I used to play soccer at that time.
Oh, that's cool. What made you like really switch out? Because like, do you still play soccer?
No, I do not. Um, so I played soccer since I was, really little. I grew up with the girls that, still go to my high school or in my classes. So, um, it was just a moment where I realized this wasn't the sport for me. This wasn't something that, I would want to play, especially because I always like wanted to be, muscular. That's something that I always wanted to be, and that's not really something you can do um, as a soccer player. And so it just didn't really fit with what I wanted to be.
That's
So
fair.
that's why I stopped.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, I know like most sports are pretty like at least you can make them physical. You know what I'm saying? But like most sports, you can't like really like they're not as contact as football is. But that being said, like, have you ever gotten any like injuries with football that like kind of like shifted your perspective or no?
No, I have this like injury prevention program. I don't know if you've heard, but I use that myself,
Mhm.
as well as, 10 other schools currently use it. So we're working on, getting it like expanded and stuff. So I've worked with a sports medicine professional and former D1 player on it. And
Mhm.
so it's a really good routine and program, and I use it myself. And so far, I haven't gotten injured, so it's working.
That's something you established, the injury prevention program.
Mhm.
Could you break it down a little bit? What is it?
Okay, so it's par for play. It's
Oh yeah.
a performance enhancement program and injury prevention program tailored to football players.
Mhm.
So it tells you what to do before, during, and after a game to help you, prevent injuries and become a better football player.
Yeah. What are some of the things you do like hydration, like anything like that?
Yeah, so there are like nutrition and hydration tips, and the main focus is like a routine. So exercises, stretches, stuff like that. We give you specific things that you can do
Mhm.
um that, are the best for that certain part of the day for injury prevention.
Is it like research? Did you do the research for it, like research based?
Um, well, I've been mentored by a sports medicine physical therapist.
Okay.
So we've been working on that together.
And like, have you like I saw on the Instagram like free football programs. Do you do that as well?
Yeah,
Oh,
that is what it is. So,
oh,
yeah, it is free.
is there a difference? Like, do you teach people football or is it just injury prevention?
It's that's just what like it's the injury prevention program.
Okay, okay, that's cool. That's cool. And what D1 players have you really talked to?
My coach actually was a former D1 player,
Oh
and
wow.
yeah, he's a strength and conditioning coach at Deep Run, and he's been very helpful. He knows a lot of things that has to do with um everything with football, really.
So for injury prevention, like concussion prevention,
Hmm.
how would you how in what sense would you prevent like because I feel like football players have the most um concussion risk of concussion because of the contact, like the one-on-one contact. So is there something you could do to prevent that? Because Mhm.
Yeah, so there's like a lot of neck stretches and bridges that you can do, as well as a lot of youth football players don't really know the techniques of tackling and things like that. So that's something you have to consider when it comes to concussions, especially when kids aren't taught how to tackle, they're leading with their head, stuff like that.
Oh, I mean, what are you supposed to do? Like around the body?
You have your head to a side, but some kids, aren't really aware of that and they lead with their head, like with their head
Is
first.
is there something as too harsh of a contact in football? Like, could you get flagged for that?
I mean, I don't like if it's legal, I don't think so.
Okay. I mean, what's legal and what's not then? Because I feel
Like,
like, mhm.
yeah, so an illegal hit would be like when someone doesn't have the ball and they're like facing away from you. There's
Uh,
a lot of like rules that go into it.
I mean, how do you determine, like, if somebody's facing away from you, they could be looking at like the player that you're trying to, um, like, I guess like the quarterback. They could be like looking at the quarterback and you tackle them. So like, how does that work? How do they, define what's legal and not in that sense?
I mean,
Because I feel like that's like a big discussion,
yeah.
like rules and regulation. That's like disputed in every sport. So that's crazy to me. Especially when like injuries involved, like especially when contacts involved, like a
Mhm.
concussion, like that's a big thing. And you can prevent that with the neck stretches, like like simple things like that. That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely helps
Yeah.
um just to strengthen. I mean, if anything, if you have a strengthened joint, um, you know, just having that itself is something that's less likely to, even if it doesn't like prevent it, it definitely would, make it less impactful in the future, and that's something you
Right.
want to do.
Is par for play local, like in Virginia?
I
Or
mean, yeah, so it's an online, like we send the program to them. So, people from Alabama, other places are using it too.
wow. Have they seen any like have you had any like stats these are how many people are like in our program, stuff like that?
So currently we have like 10 schools with,
Wow.
these programs have around like 900 players in their program, and we're working on expanding that. And
Mhm.
so I've been contacting some professors, from like Yale,
Mhm.
uh, head physician. I'm trying to work with them to research more into, injury prevention techniques based on some data that I've collected from this.
Right. I mean, that's like taking that to the collegiate level is a whole nother thing because I feel like the higher level play you get, the more injuries you're prone to, like the more career-ending injuries. Um, so yeah, that's crazy. And honestly, like adding more players and adding more strength behind your program is also like it's I feel like it'll take it further. Do you know what I'm saying? Like adding more research behind it because honestly concussions do you get that by don't you get that by your brain hitting the side of your
Hmm.
head. So
Yeah.
it's definitely based on like tactics and like same thing with swim. I interviewed one of my friends the other day, and she was like, if swimming is like not a contact sport at all, but you can still get injured by not doing the right form. But there's also a thing about mode of preference. So I play softball, so this is something that some of my coaches have been talking about, but it's doing what your body feels best. So even like tackling, like I don't know too much about it, but I feel like if you like go one way versus putting your head the other way, it could like make you off balance. Because I feel like most people they do what feels natural when they're a kid. So then they would tackle head first because that's when you're the most balanced, I would assume. So then going one way versus the other, I feel like that itself could be something that mode of preference would change.
Yeah, I feel like if you practice with the right techniques, that would change, especially leading with your head. If you start practicing with it on the correct side, then it would become more of like something that they automatically do during a
Like,
game.
is there a right side, like going this way versus the other way? Like, is there a right side?
Yeah, like towards their back when you're tackling. Yeah.
Why is that?
Just because if you have your head on the front side while they're running, that could
Oh,
yeah.
oh, gotcha. Okay, so it's not even there isn't even a motive preference involved because it is like this is the right thing to do.
Mhm.
In football, is there a lot of like feel-based things, or is it mostly like um mostly what do you call it? Like skill or not skill, but like feel versus analytical, like what feels right versus what is right? Like is it more of like training and like doing something that is right?
I mean, yeah, when you're in the game and your adrenaline's pumping, you're gonna do things that you haven't been taught to do during practice and by your coaches. So it's just really trying to get that into you, doing the right thing, so you don't get injured because do that's when most of these injuries occur.
Right, right. Wait, I forgot you play FNL, so you play Friday Night Lights.
No, I actually do not.
What?
No, I'm a JV captain, but my coaches and I have talked about, this year having that 1 year development just because
Mhm.
obviously. But next year I will be playing on varsity, so I
Oh, let's
will be
go.
preparing for that. Yeah.
That's crazy. And then being a captain on JV, so like how'd you get that? Like, because are there other sophomores on the team?
Yeah.
So how was it? How was it? How was the process of becoming captain?
So I just, been a good leader for our team. I've helped everyone when, they're getting frustrated. We actually have this leadership council, which is like the whole program. And I was the only underclassmen who applied to be on that leadership
Right.
council.
Cool.
So, I put myself out there. I've been helping the team. So I feel like that's why I was, elected to be captain.
I feel like you're like kind of the epitome of a student athlete because you do so much on the outside, but you also like contribute on the field. So how does it, I mean, how do you balance it? Because I feel like football is something that takes a lot of time, like whether it's training, whether it's practices, whether it's games. How do you balance it?
Yeah, so I always just have to stay organized, have to keep a routine. Yeah, so during the weekends is when I mostly prioritize like getting myself back together, like doing my work. And during the actual week is when we have football, right? So
Mhm.
I don't get home until, 10 o'clock some days, especially on game days. Sometimes it's 11. So I have to, during school, during lunch, we have one lunch. I don't know if Maggie Walker does.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so I use that hour to do my schoolwork and, whenever I can, just do school.
Right. I mean, it's about a sacrifice, right? So like, because even I know a lot of student athletes that have to do this too, but like instead of talking to your friends at lunch or like goofing
Mhm.
around having fun, you gotta like lock in um and do finish up something that you don't have time to do later. So I feel like it's a lot about balance. And on the football field, is there something that you do, like a routine that you follow before you get onto the field?
On game days.
Yeah, like not like a routine like oh like five jumping jacks or something like that, but like something that like oh superstitious that's what it is.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't I wear like the same like drip, if you call it. Um,
Dang, how you dripped out? What do you wear?
I mean, okay, so I have like my arm sleeves,
Okay.
my elbow tapes, and then I have these on my calves. I have the initials of my friend who passed away.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
so it just football, like what I wear is like really important to me. And when I'm playing, I look down and I see that and
Right,
it
it motivates.
gives me more motivation.
I mean, look good, play good. Like I really believe in that because if you look good, you feel good, and when you feel good, you play good. So,
Hmm.
I mean, how's your record been so far at Deep Run? Like, what are you guys winning?
It's 2-2,
Okay.
like two losses, two wins.
Who'd you beat and who'd you win? Who'd you play against so far?
Meadowbrook and
Mhm.
Atlee we've won against, and Freeman and Prince George, I believe we lost.
Okay. I mean, you guys played Prince George. It's like that's so far.
Yeah, we had to drive all the way there on the
Oh,
bus.
dang, it wasn't even a home game.
Mm-mm.
I mean, at Maggie Walker, we have to play. Actually, ours is pretty small district too, but we aren't really known for sports. So like, I guess it's a little different. But we have kids from Prince George coming in, but I guess we're centered in Richmond City, so it's a little different. But I know at Deep Run, like, because a lot of my friends. So I went to Moody, but a lot of my friends went to Short Pump because I went to Colonial Trail. So I feel like a lot of the people that you grow up with like feed into the same high school. So how has it been like seeing everybody um seeing everybody I guess like since your middle school, but like now you're kind of a whole other person on a football team.
Yeah. I mean, everyone's been, supportive. A lot of people know me from before football, so it's not like, I have a lot of fake people in my life,
Right,
but
of course.
yeah, so it's been really cool, and I know they've seen me grow as a person. I've definitely changed a lot for the better.
Right, of course. I mean, I feel like sports changes you, especially like being on a team sport. Like, I had to do a lot of like mental work myself for softball because it's like if you mess up once, it's like between outs, you know what I'm saying? So like if you mess up once, now they have two outs and a runner at third. And like you kind of have to like process that it was because of you that the runner's at third. And now your whole team has to back you up to like cover for that mistake. So I want to ask if football is kind of the same way. Like, do you guys pretty much rely on each other? Like, is there something that you could do that could single-handedly like mess it up, or is it pretty much a single or a team thing?
I mean, yeah, this is, I think, the biggest team sport that there is. If one person messes up out of the 11, the
Mhm.
whole play can be destroyed because we have plays that everyone has their own like thing that they have to do. They have to have done in order for it to work. If one player messes that up, it might, you know,
Right. I mean, as captain, like, do you call the shots? Like, do you call the plays and stuff? Or is that your coach?
that's the coaches.
Okay, okay. Like you help the team out, like you help up like positions and stuff.
Like positions, what does that mean?
Like positioning on the field. Oh, I don't know my terms. Like I guess like setting up.
I mean, as captain, I basically do what I did before, just as a label of captain. I
Really?
help my teammates up. And that's why I think I'm captain because I did all this stuff a captain should do before I was even called the captain.
Right, that's fair. That's fair. That's working when other people aren't really looking. That's it. Like that's I respect that. I respect that. But so far, in going back to par for play, how I guess I want to say where did that really start? So like what influenced your injury prevention program?
Yeah, so I've been really into, the medical field, because my mom's a nurse and I've been like helping her study sometimes. So, um, I looked, ninth grade when I joined the football team, there was like a lot of injuries that happened that I've seen my teammates and the teammates that we needed to help our team. So, I thought, I could do something about this. So that's where it really started.
Yeah, I mean, injury is like the number one, like a lot of people that are gonna be great athletes suffer from injuries, and then it's kind of all downhill from there. So
Mhm.
I think that's a really, really great program. That's strong. And honestly, like adding like football clinics into that, structuring it so that it's not just like a online program, because an online program is really great for like long distance people. um but honestly, you could also start doing like in-person clinics, like showing them how to do it, and then being supported by the colleges that you reach out to, especially when you have deep run's facility is open. So like with your strength and conditioning coach, you could like come and teach them. And I feel like hands-on learning is like the number one thing that people because people learn different ways, right? And like
Yeah.
directly helping the Virginia community, you could like start football clinics. And
Yeah, that's a good idea.
that's what I do with We Play Too. Have,
Really?
yeah, so We Play Too is like an organization that I created like seventh grade, I want to say. And it was kind of like structured towards, because I was like, okay, I'm a female athlete. Like, it's honestly like you can kind of see it in everyday light. Like, if you go to any basketball court, there's going to be like a few girls, but like mostly guys. Like, you can kind of like predict that. And like, at like parties and stuff, like normally the guys are the ones playing the sports. So it's like you kind of just see that in everyday social culture. So now I was like, okay, let's make it a change. So then I started We Play Too, and the way I was like trying to help, I guess, was by running these free sports clinics, and especially in like places that don't necessarily have the opportunities. So like Richmond City, like where Maggie Walker is, I reached out to RPS, and now like me and my team are supporting or like going to these after school programs and teaching these kids how to play soccer and like introducing them to the idea. So honestly, like adding football to that would be really cool. Because football is like not like a sport that you see a lot of women in. So,
Mhm.
I mean, have you ever tried to get your friends into it? Like get your friends to play football with you?
I mean, with me, yeah, but they would, never.
What? Really?
I mean, they all have their sports that they are doing, but I've had a couple of little girls reach out to me on social media saying how, they saw the news articles about me and they're like really they thought it was cool because they play football too and they
Yeah.
were really inspired by that and that really resonated with me.
Do you see any girls at Short Pump Middle School on the football team?
I actually don't know. I haven't gone to the short
Okay.
game just because of my schedule with
Yeah.
football overlaps
I
with
mean, of
that.
course. I mean, I would not be surprised if like a bunch of little girls, especially in like the Short Pump, Colonial Trail, that area, start playing football. Because I mean, that
Mhm.
was really inspirational. Like I saw the article and I was like, dang. Because I mean, that's a big thing. Like captain of the JV team. Like honestly, like it's a double standard to say this, but as a girl, like I feel like that's a big step. So
Mhm.
I mean, thank you for coming out today. Thank you for kind of telling us your story. So I appreciate that. And it was great meeting you.
It's you too. This was really great.
Appreciate it.